Is it your responsibility to make sure Kingfisher flies again, or is it the responsibility of the man who's undeclared as the king of good times? Well, welcome to the debate tonight. Ajay Prakash, President of the Travel Agents Federation of India. Ashwini Kakkar, CEO of Mercury Travels, travel man we call him. Capt Mohan Ranganathan is former Assistant General Secretary of the ICPA, has strong views on this whole issue. HS Khola from our studios in Delhi, former Director General of Civil Aviation. I am so happy to see you, sir, tonight. My first question is to Suhel Seth. I remember 3 months back when we were debating this, and Suhel is joining us from our studios in New York tonight. Suhel, you have been an unabashed supporter of Vijay Mallya. I'm sure you would have changed your position today, given the unforgivable acts of Kingfisher Airlines in announcing these mass cancellations of flights, open flouting of DGCA rules, and then going ahead to say that unless the banks are lenient with us, unless the income tax authorities are lenient with us, what do you expect us to do? I mean, why do you run an airline if you want the rules to be tweaked every minute to suit your crumbling business plan? Why would anyone do that? Why would any government do that?
Okay, let me start with giving you a historical context. On November 15th, 2011, on your program, I made full disclosure saying, A, I have no working relationship with Kingfisher. I'm Vijay Mallya's friend, but more importantly, I used to sit on the Global Travel Advisory Board of British Airways, so I do know a thing or two about airlines. The issue is not about being an unabashed supporter of Vijay Mallya. The issue is far more serious, Arnab, and you will appreciate it. The issue is about this government's policy paralysis leading to a situation where there is no clarity on anything that the government ever agrees on. So let's go back in history only up to November 15th, 2011. Number one, you still have taxation of the highest kind, 25% tax. Number two, not one single private airline is making money other than Indigo. Number three, all airlines have declared quarterly losses which have been bigger and larger than the previous ones. Number four, with Iran acting the way it is, oil prices have jumped up even further. Number five, all the things that the government committed to doing, which was A, FDI in civil aviation, announced, hasn't happened. Number two, direct imports of oil, announced, hasn't happened. You know why? Because the government is too busy saving itself from people like Mamata Banerjee and Naveen Patnaik.
No, I think that's being a little... That's being uncharitable. 1 minute. That's being uncharitable and that's being unfair. No, because I must place the facts on record. You're being uncharitable and you're being unfair to the government. No, I'll tell you why.
It is time.
I'll tell you why.
It is time we accept that civil aviation in India.
Who told Vijay Mallya to start an airline?
Kingfisher is only.
Who told Vijay Mallya to start an airline?
I'm not Vijay Mallya's spokesman. Let me tell you, Arnab, as someone who knows this business, you are putting the entire civil aviation industry at a stake from which you will not recover.
Why link the civil aviation industry to what is happening with Kingfisher? No, watch it.
My friend, Kingfisher is symptomatic of a larger malaise.
Okay, we have someone else wanting to support Kingfisher Airlines tonight.
It's not about Kingfisher. Let me start by saying that the first 10 airlines that were started in this country, starting with East West, Paramount, Modi Luft, Vayudut, Sahara, I can name you 10 airlines which have died. Why have they died?
Is Indigo died? No, one sec.
Government policy is disastrous.
Don't blame government policy. Don't blame government
policy. I don't agree with you.
No, don't blame government policy. 1 minute.
Ashwini
Kakkar, one sec. You tell me tonight.
You give me a minute.
No, you tell me tonight. I'll give you more than a minute when I give you you tell me tonight, is Kingfisher going in the red?
No, I tell you.
So the government has a different policy.
Losses of Air India, 79,000 crores. The debt and this thing of Jet Airways.
What was the financial of Deccan Airways when it was merged?
Is 18,500 crores.
What was the financial?
Jet Airways. I tell you, if this airline dies, the consumer will die with it. And the country will have big trouble. We are a big country. We cannot do without civil aviation.
Please don't present this nightmarish situation as if tonight you are actually putting the onus of Vijay Mallya's problems.
No, we are not about. This is a man who has pledged his properties, who has pledged his companies. He has virtually pledged his bloody life. But he's trying to do his best.
Why should I be moved? Why should I be moved? Any business person would do that if they were in financial trouble.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The civil aviation policy is a complete bloody disaster in this country.
I think you're being uncharitable.
No.
I'll tell you why. One point. 1 minute. Let's go by facts tonight.
Why are you supporting the government all of a sudden today?
No, I'm not supporting the government, but we have to go by the facts.
You're the primary realist, anti-establishment person when it comes to realism.
Thank you. No, one second. No.
Look at fuel. Oil companies are making 55%. On top of that, the state government on 150 is levying a 42% surcharge. If you look at foreign direct investment, 7 years. You know, landing, parking, navigation charges, disaster. Airport charges, disaster.
Ashwini Kakkar. You see, now there is one very simple question we have to answer here. You cancel my flight. I am a passenger. One second. Allow me to complete, please. You cancel my flight. You have to ask someone's permission before cancelling my flight, and that someone is called the Director General Civil Aviation. 1 minute, let me get it.
Income tax department blocks your bloody bank accounts. Would you much rather, block a flight than to have no money to be able to buy a spare part?
Okay, now
would you much rather have a crash on your hands, or would you much rather stop a flight from flying?
Ashwini Kakkar, please let me get one more point. So, contrary point of view before I come back to you. My question tonight to S Dutta, who's former Director Operations of Air India, is, sir, tell me, when you cancel a flight, let me answer the passenger point of view. This is a pure business passenger point of view. The passenger says, can any private airline at 6 o'clock in the morning, me and my family are at the airport, and say, oh, I'm sorry, 200 of you will have to take the next bus to where you want to go. Or I'm going to put you on a taxi.
But
one second.
Air India has done this time and time again.
Well, the question here is this tonight. According to Section 140, tell me if I'm wrong. Mr. Khola, let me draw you into this. Mr. Khola first. Is it true or not that an airline which goes ahead with these mass cancellation of flights has to seek the permission of the Director General Civil Aviation? You cannot do this overnight and then say, sorry, my business circumstances changed in the last 6 hours. Mr. Khola, let's hear the other side.
Right.
Mr. Khola, what do you think? Can you have these mass cancellations whenever you want to?
When a scheduled airline files a schedule for operations, it is expected to follow the schedule. If there are deviations in the schedule due to some reason, they are supposed to tell the DGCA for the reason. But there could be situations which are beyond the control of airlines or which are happening suddenly. In that case, it may not be possible to inform in advance, but as soon as possible they should be reported to DGCA the reasons for any change in schedule or any cancellation of the flight. Everything has to be reported.
Sure.
In this case, what has been happened, whether it was a sudden, whether it was unavoidable or it is beyond the control of the airline, these factors have to be looked into, and I'm sure DGCA will be looking into that.
No, but the DGCA, I'm sorry to say, has become a toothless tiger. It does nothing. Sorry, Suhel. On November 10th, it's become a toothless tiger. It does nothing. 80 flights are cancelled in 2011. It did nothing.
Well,
What's it? Yes, Mr. Khola.
Well, let me comment on that one. Hello.
Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, please. You see, DGCA was basically a safety regulator. You must understand how the DGCA was born. When the DGCA was initially there, it was regulating all the government systems. Airline was government, airports were government, everything. In the meantime, say in the last 20 years or so, the private airlines came. The private operators have also come. But the DGCA structure has practically remained the same. I can tell you, it is not an economic regulator. It is basically a safety regulator to implement the safety regulations of International Civil Aviation Organization. The economic regulation part is given to the DGCA,
I agree, Mike. I'm saying tonight.
Let me complete it. It is not geared for that one. Neither the structure has been changed. It requires a complete overhauling structure, manpower to handle this economic regulatory aspect. And for that one, let me complete it. And for that one, the DGCA structure must be converted as a civil aviation authority, which can play all these factors. It cannot remain as a government department in which it has to function under so many restrictions and so many rules, regulations. So it must be immediately converted as a civil aviation authority, so that it gets a much wider scope of work and it can function more independently and with flexibility.
That's long term. I'm saying tonight, Kingfisher Airlines has become a repeat offender. It keeps cancelling these planes whenever they want. The DGCA does nothing. If the passengers have no insurance policy, and then you say, tell the banks. One second, what is Vijay Mallya saying tonight? Vijay Mallya is saying, tell the banks to be lenient with me. Tell your income tax authorities to stop seizing my frozen bank accounts, and I will bring back those airlines. I played on, you saw what Vijay Mallya said 3 months back. He said, I will not let far-flung parts of this area get dropped off the map. Who's going to fight for the passengers?
Arnab, I agree with you totally that the passenger has been inconvenienced. But what perhaps, and that's what Mr. Khola also pointed out, what seems to be emerging is that there is a bigger picture which needs to be addressed, which none of us are willing to face up to it. We're making Vijay Mallya the scapegoat and saying, hang him. No, you can't hang him.
No, nobody's hanging him.
No, one moment. Just one moment.
You're making him the martyr.
Look, when Mr. Khola says that the DGCA has not evolved, I couldn't agree more. I mean, there is no regulator.
Is the DGCA the issue, or is Kingfisher Airlines and its
Kingfisher is an issue because of the series of non-actions or the wrong policies that have been followed.
Okay. So the policies are very good for one second.
Absolutely.
One second.
No, absolutely.
The policies are very good for. So 1 second. Are you saying? Suhel said 1 second because you say absolutely.